Hello, and welcome to my spoken word channel. My name is Stephen Lackey, but like any other label, that name is simply a collection of letters that make sounds to convey meaning, a meaning which may have varying connotations for those who voice and or hear it. The spoken word is much the same, its effect ranging from dissonance to resonance, apathy to revulsion, sometimes even to the same person over time. I'll be reading some of my own work today, offering analysis of its meter, rhyme scheme, and content. If you find it appealing, heartening, or evocative, or even not worth remembering, please consider the aforementioned variability of response. Words, much the same as attitudes, friendships, and even the air we breathe, may teach us, transform us, or pass uninspiringly in this moment, but the next is yet to be defined. Herein are my copyrighted works, all rights reserved, but please forget the name and remember the message. Also, feel free to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Today's piece is called I Have Loved You. I have loved you in spring, in the burgeoning dew, in the pre-dawn elation's stark chills unsubdued, before life had undone, before two became one. I have loved you before I could know there was more than a spring. I have loved you through summer and warming within, the tumescent, perspirant, and roiling lock-limbed, before lips would divide, before eyes had singed eyes. I have loved you before I knew summer could scorch more than skin. I have loved you as autumn in brilliant display, as the moments advanced, as our vigor gave way to the rains meant to cleanse in advance of our ends. I have loved you before colors faded the floor, autumn spent. I have loved you when winter made frostbite the cost of desire, of touch, even hopes that were clutched, when our deafness confused and our blindness felt rude. I have loved you before peddled anguish had borne winter storms. I have loved you completely till all that I knew was a purposeful chore, calloused heart and accrued bits of scar-stiffening breaths, withering sleep and confession. I loved you through everything, even before I knew that I was capable, even ignoring my fears of misstepping, ignoring the threats of this numbness in favor of hope's white lie. Well before I knew I'd lose you, and long before I came to hate you while loving you still. This piece is in anapestic meter, using the cycle of seasons to metaphorically represent the lifespan of a relationship. The different prepositions before each season in spring through summer, etc., emphasize the shifting perspective of the narrator. Each of the first three stanzas begins with an unbounded quatrain followed by two couplets, then a monostitch rhyme callback to previous and successive rhyme groups. Stanza 1's monostitch to its first line, stanza 2's monostitch to its quatrain rhyme, stanza 3's monostitch to the first couplet. The fourth stanza alters the quatrain setting from ABCB to ABCC rhyme, then continues with two couplets and a monostitch which matches the rhyme to its immediate precedent, making that last couplet a tercet, actually. The fifth stanza begins with the same rhyme scheme and setting of the first three while presenting a thematic summation, its additive lines following a unique setting while preserving the anapestic meter. The foot positions of the internal callback rhymes advance, lending a further sense of progression. Some pointed metaphors here. At the end of the first stanza, I have loved you before I could know there was more than a spring, refers to the narrator reflecting on having experienced a deep connection to the subject prior to his understanding of it, while perhaps in the throes of infatuation and unconcerned and or unaware of the possibility of the relationship's persistence. At the end of the second stanza, I have loved you before I knew summer could scorch more than skin, refers to the narrator reflecting on the fact that the deepening of a relationship, not unlike a tan which can fade but on repetition may cause damage, is visually and or physically obvious, but also generates an emotional connection which is, of sorts, a burden, whether one is pleased to bear it or not. At the end of the third stanza, I have loved you before colors faded the floor autumn spent, is the narrator's assertion that no matter the beauty of shared intimacies, if there is no appreciation, if such beauty is cast off, it rots on the floor in advance of, or bringing perhaps, winter. At the end of the fourth stanza, I have loved you before petaled anguish had borne winter storms, refers to the narrator and the subject blaming each other for the decline, shelling personal truths as an ice storm across the divide, but still they stay. In the fifth and final stanza, the invocation of hate as the opposite of love at the end of the piece is more for the colloquial construct, as the true opposite of love is indifference. Although I've seen it done by others, I can't imagine putting time in actively hating someone, trying to break them, make them feel or be lesser. As to the grander theme, that a romantic relationship can take downturns over time is not to be detested. That's the natural course of most any long-term relationship. What is harder to witness is a relationship that has clearly run its course. The individuals insistent on clinging to one another despite their resentment, despite walking on eggshells, despite the knowledge that hope is a sinking ship not to be lashed to. But love is a choice, after all, and its consequential spectrum of bliss to hell presents another choice. Every day, another choice. Thank you for choosing to join me today. I hope it has been some mix of enlightening, entertaining, and thought-provoking, and if not, well, perhaps another time. You could have spent it any number of ways, but I sincerely appreciate that you've chosen to spend this time listening to phrases I have turned. I'd like to hear your thoughts as well. Drop a comment below regarding what your own or someone else's creative writing and/or spoken word has meant to you. Also, subscribe to my channel if you like. I'm not sure how often I'll be posting, but if you click the notification bell, you'll be among the first to know when I do. Please also consider this. You never know someone else's situation, but despite anything you may be dealing with, you can be a hand to hold, a smile to brighten, or a kind word for another. And there is no limit. You will never run out. Spend and spend and spend your love, and then spend some more, and then look at your still full purse. Such a beauty is love that when you realize, finally, that you were not spending but sharing, when you realize all the lives that you touched and were thence touched in turn, you'll have never felt so full, with still more to share. Start today. Embody the strength. Find a voice. Be heard.